Today's video is going to focus on how to answer everyone's least favorite interview question, which is describe a weakness of yours. So we're going to go through what this question is really asking, as well as what the most effective strategies to answering it are. Let's begin with actually dissecting what this question is really all about. So a lot of my clients get frustrated or confused about why this question even gets asked, because they think it's kind of a silly one to cover in an interview. What the question is really asking is, are you self-aware? Do you think you're perfect? Or do you know that there's some areas where you can work on and improve the skills and qualifications that you have? The second part of the question within this question is employers are trying to get a sense of if you're really picturing yourself in this role or not. So if you give an answer that actually is a skill that has something to do with the position, it can showcase to the employer that you're picturing yourself in the role, really thinking through where you might have the ability to succeed and hit the ground running. And conversely, what is an area where you would need a little bit more training? So those are the actual questions within the question, and that should give you a better sense of what employers are really looking for in their responses here. Now let's talk about the 3 strategies when answering this question in an interview. So first things first, do not answer with an example or a skill or a piece about yourself that's a deal breaker. For example, if the role says you need really strong Excel skills and you don't have them, that's definitely not something that you want to emphasize proactively when in an interview for this position. Another thing you want to avoid is any character flaws. So if you have a tendency to run late, this is not something, while it may be honest, that you want to seek out sharing with your employer. That's strategy 1, avoid the deal breakers for the position. The strategy number 2 that we'll cover is you want to think through and focus on if there is part of a job description that says desirable or preferable skills, that's a really safe space to focus your answer on. Desirable or preferable skills are things that the employer has decided would be really nice or a big value add if a candidate has, but they're not making or breaking your qualifications. So those are really safe things to focus on if you truly don't have those skills or qualities. So for example, if they're talking about proficiency in a certain software and it's something that you just don't know, you could give that as an example. But if it's something that you could learn quickly or that you perhaps have demonstrated an aptitude for by learning a different related software, you could showcase that in your answer. Which brings me to the 3rd strategy for answering the tell me about a weakness or describe your biggest weakness question. The number 1 thing that any answer, regardless of what you're focusing on saying, should include is what you're doing, have been doing, or will be doing to improve upon said weakness. So an employer is not just looking for that self-awareness, but also the ability to grow, develop, and prioritize personal or professional development. For example, if public speaking is the weakness that you're going to emphasize, then you can talk about how this is an area that you're working to improve upon, if you've proactively sought out speaking opportunities, or even taking a Dale Carnegie or a public speaking class. Those would be things you would want to emphasize, and then conclude your answer by saying, these are the things I'm doing to improve upon this, and I feel confident that I will continue to develop in this area. And that concludes my biggest tips for understanding both what the weakness question is really about, as well as the strategies to answer this in the most realistic and thoughtful, thorough way for the employer. Thanks for watching, and if you have any other questions on this topic, feel free to leave me a note in the comment section or download my free guide to interviewing to get you as prepared as possible for this exciting time.